Hey, what's up guys? This is my channel, of course. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah and this is my attempt to come up with a creative title. Alright, let's try that again. Please don't tell my friends I have this channel. Guys, what's up? My name is Sarah. Welcome to my channel. I thought I'd make a vlogging series sort of highlighting my journey that led me to take a trip to India to get treated there. Technically this is being recorded at the end of the series, but I will be chucking it in the front. I'm not a YouTuber. I've got no idea how to do this. I'm using basic editing apps, so don't laugh at me. If there's anything I'm doing that's cringy, I know it's cringy. It's just, I just thought I'd put this out there. First things first, let me, come up with a couple of disclaimers. So firstly, I'm not Indian, so there might be some things that I'll say throughout this series that might be common sense or general knowledge to people of Indian background. Neither of which, I'm not that, so if I do accidentally say something like it's brand new information and it's not, I'm sorry. Secondly, this series is highlighting my health journey, so there will be times when the information I might give might be like TMI. It's just the way it is. I'm sorry, I've given you the warning, and that's just a disclaimer, I just thought I'd keep it real. So I'll give you a bit of background as to what happened in the first place. So the clinical diagnosis that I got from Australia before I headed to India was fibromyalgia. Now, just to get the diagnosis of fibromyalgia, I'm sure any of you who have fibromyalgia will know that this is not an immediate diagnosis you get. You go through multiple tests, spend so much of money, and you finally come to this sort of conclusion. And the medical, the way of managing that condition would be, live a sedentary life, don't do much work, watch what you eat and don't eat too much and all this sort of weird stuff, right? And if like me, you were also exhibiting rheumatoid symptoms, then you will be told to either take antidepressants, steroids, or both. But that just wasn't good enough for me, especially in my early 20s. Just didn't seem like such a good idea, so I thought I'd head to India. That is pretty much the abridged version. I do warn you that this is probably going to be the longest video of the series, and I'm sorry about that, but yeah, I've already pre-recorded the old part because I couldn't get the first part onto my computer because I'm a noob. I told you I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm recording this on my webcam for God's sake. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm just gonna do it because I told myself I'm gonna do it. Yeah, so just to start off with, just a quick background story. So for me, the condition pretty much started when in 2017, December, I moved to Western Australia for 4 months. That's my favorite thing to say. It's such a cool personality trait because I've done nothing interesting in my life. So I moved to Western Australia for 4 months for this internship, and it was regional Western Australia. So initially I was a bit worried. I was really scared. I threw a party before I went because I was like, what if I never make friends there? I'm so socially awkward, blah, blah, blah. I had the time of my life. It was honestly an amazing experience. I met the greatest people. I lived on camp with everyone that I worked with, and honestly, to me, that would have been such a scary thought, but I can't even describe the level of genuinity you see in people, compared to the corporate world, just by living with them and working with them. And honestly, that was a life-changing experience for me, not just in terms of the social aspect, but I also met so many mentors. Maybe I'll crop this part. But it was an excellent experience for me. When I was there, I thought, I'd stick to a routine sort of lifestyle. So I continued going to the gym, which is something I actually haven't done in a couple of years since then. But I continued going to the gym. I did we had a team beep test that I also signed up for just for the heck of it. and I was just eating like fruits in the morning, and then in the like for lunch I would have like a whole wheat wrap just stuffed with greens and a bit of sauce, a bit of meat. And then for dinner I would have like grilled chicken. So to me that was healthy. Yeah, that was just my way of just doing a quick switch to a healthier lifestyle. Um, but having said that, like, I didn't necessarily think that this was weird until one day when my mum called me, and for some weird reason, I'm sure there's mums out there who do this sort of thing. But she was like, "So how are your emotions going?" or something along those lines, right? She's like, "How often have you been going to the toilet?" or something like that. And honestly, it was a weird question, but you know, it's my mum. I know what's normal for her and what's not. That was a normal question. So I was like, "Yeah, I've been going like 6 or 7 times a day, though." I was like, "Oh, it's a bit weird, but you know, it is what it is." And then she was like, 6, 7 times a day, like, what's the consistency like? And I was like, well, it's really watery. And like, you know, as soon as I eat, I have to go to the toilet. And if I don't eat, I have to go to the toilet. And if I drink water, I've got to go to the toilet. So I was like, you know, I just keep having to shit. And then she was like, no, that's not right. How long has this been going on for? And I was like, yeah, 6 or 7 weeks now. I just realized the light keeps changing, and I'm sorry about that. But like I said, got no idea how to edit this. I'll try my best, but it is what it is, alright? So then she was like, that doesn't sound right, go get yourself checked. Which I did. So I went to a hospital, not a hospital, a clinic, and the doctor over there, honestly, she was very average, but then she did she did a couple of blood tests, and I think the results pretty much came out clear. So I went, when I went to discuss the results with her, she was like, no, nothing's wrong with you. And I was like, yeah, that's all good and well, but why do I keep shitting? And also, like, I was starting to feel really feverish, but I was always feeling cold. So it was 40-degree weather, but I always had to like be like covered up because it was just cold for me, and I was having really, really bad headaches. And also when I was going to the toilet that regularly, it got to a point where I just started like, my stool was red, so it was probably blood. It was almost definitely blood. So I was like, oh, like, you know, that's all good and well. I'm willing to accept that there's nothing wrong with me, but could you like, you know, do another test or something? And then after I was like, yeah, all right. So like, what are we going to do now? And then she was like, so what do you think you have? And I was like, I don't know. I'm not a fucking doctor. So she's like, all right, then, and then she went on Google, and then she started tapping up my symptoms. And I knew right then and there that it was just like a shitty doctor. So then she ended up prescribing me antacids, even though I didn't have any acidity problems. So I just went back, bought it, and I took it for like a few days, and then I just stopped. So I kind of kept having that problem up until the end of my time in Port Hedland. So Mum was really looking forward to me coming back home just so that we could go see our family doctor for it. Personally, long story short, my family doctor is shit. He's got like 4 diagnoses, general GP diagnosis that's like gastritis, cold, flu shot, cancer, I don't know. Something like it's got to be spelled out. He doesn't think out of the box. Pretty much I don't like the guy. But I went to him for 6 whole months because firstly, I'm sure you guys would know, it's so hard to get hold of a specialist. It's so hard to get an appointment with them. It's also expensive. So what I started doing is I just started doing my own reading and going up to this doctor and being like, can you do this test, do this test, do that test? Unfortunately for me, the tests didn't show anything, but it just felt like I had to be like proper proactive about it, and I'm not normally a proactive person. Like, I'm not like that, and like, I try not to be that annoying person, but I had to be that annoying person. So we had a colonoscopy done. It came out clear. We also had a few tests done. Eventually he came to conclude that I was just depressed. I have been depressed before, so I know when I'm depressed and when I'm not. Well, at least I can tell when I'm not depressed. And I was like, I'm definitely not depressed. It's actually one of the happiest times in my life. And then he gave me a questionnaire to see if I was suicidal, even though I told him I wasn't and I hadn't thought about killing myself. Eventually, he just ended up putting me on antidepressants. Got no problem with antidepressants if I am depressed or if I'm in need of it. Now, he didn't tell me he was putting me on antidepressants. It's only when I went to the chemist that the chemist was like, have you ever been on antidepressants before? And that's when I was like, hold on a second, what the hell? So never went to actually, that's a lie. I did go to the doctor a few times until I got like really burnt. That's not the same, but like I really burnt myself multiple times just going to this doctor. Every time I'd go complain to him about my symptoms. So at this point, like I said, I was severely constipated. I hadn't gone to the toilet in like 14-15 days, and when I did go, I would bleed. So at this, and then I was also like starting to develop like cold-like symptoms. So I was having like a sore throat that's still there with me, and it's been like 2.5 years. So I had like a sore throat, I had like the sniffles and all of that. So, and then I had like a bunch of other stuff, like I had my low iron, like every brown girl, and then I also had like my hypothyroidism issue, which has been a thing that I've had for a while. So he would sort of like address everything individually, like there were separate things. So like with my abdominal pain, he considered it something different. With my cold-like symptoms, he gave me allergy spray, he gave me another antacid. I don't know what was with the doctors giving me antacids. Didn't work. If anything, it just gave me chest pain. I don't know if I can say that that's what caused the chest pain, but I do know that eventually on my symptoms I did have heartburn and chest pains after. But pretty much like I wrapped things up with that doctor because I mean, I think it just got to a point where it was quite annoying to my friends that all I would ever do is tell them horror stories from my doctor's visits. Horror might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I was just complaining about him so much that one of my best friends was like, hey, I think you should go see my family doctor, he's amazing. So I went and saw his doctor, and just like he said, his doctor was amazing. Unfortunately, he was unable to diagnose me, but at least he thought out of the box when I described my symptoms to him. He came up with 3 things that it possibly could be. One of them was Crohn's/colitis. Another was, he did say he wanted to look at something to do with my gallbladder and pancreas. So he did a bunch of tests as well. We did a lot of very comprehensive tests, and unfortunately we couldn't come to a conclusion. And by this point, I obviously spent a lot of money. Like, firstly, that doctor I had to pay to see him, he wasn't bulk billed. I was also getting like my colonoscopy done, my gastroscopy done, all these, like I got a couple of MRIs done. I also had like a couple of ultrasounds. I had to pay for a couple of them as well. Not all of them, but a couple of them. Even some of my blood tests were not bulk billed, so I had to pay for that as well because they were like, I guess, a bit more niche. There was so there were a lot of tests that I had to pay for, and at this point I'm just spending so much money, and I was a uni student as well, so it was just not good enough for me. Like, I mean, I was working, but like, I mean, I don't want to be spending that sort of money on my health. I'm like in my 20s. But that was that. So what ended up happening is this doctor was like, I could see that he was taking me seriously, and he didn't make me want to cry in my car at the end of it. Eventually we came to the conclusion that it was fibromyalgia, but that was by exclusion rather than inclusion. I don't know if that's how you say it, but pretty much it's kind of like they were like, okay, let's do this test. We did this test, it's clear. We did another test, it's clear. We did another test, it's clear. Like, it's got to be fibromyalgia. It's like, hey, I really want to help you. I can see that you're not making this up, blah, blah. I think you should go see my daughter. She does this thing called integrative medicine. And integrative medicine is pretty much a combination of herbal medicine with Western treatments, or the other way around. But like, I think they just kind of examine your case. So he was like, you should go see her. And I looked her up. She seemed really legit. So I decided that I'd go see her. Made an appointment, and that's when I found out that it was $600 for the first consult. And I didn't think it was worth investing that much for just the first consult. So that's that. I think that's all. That's the last part that I stopped at. I will pause this video for a second and I'll come back to it. I should also mention the gap. Alright. So there was also a point where I just woke up one day and I couldn't walk because my ankle was just completely swollen. I pretended I didn't see it. I just kept trying to do it, and then I just kept like tripping, and I was in a lot of excruciating pain. And it's just because that my ankle was just completely swollen. So I went to see a doctor about it, and he did an x-ray, and he suspected gout. Now, he did a test to see if it was gout, and it came out negative, but he was like, no, that's a false negative, you definitely have gout. And then he gave me anti-inflammatories to see if that would work, and it did. So I didn't have the swelling again. I do have like pain there every now and then, but there's no more swelling. So that happened as well. And then after I was done with uni, so around 2018, end of 2018, I went to Japan with a couple of friends, and over there, like, I feel so bad for my friends because I was such a downer the whole trip. I didn't complain, and I did keep like going to stuff, but I was just completely drained. I had no energy at all. I woke up late. I had to go to bed early. I was always in pain. And the whole time that I was in Japan, I didn't go to the toilet once, even though I was eating so much of food. It was just like, I feel bad for my friends during that trip because they just had to endure like a very boring version of myself, and I just wasn't doing a lot of high intensity activities at the time. All right, that's it. Bye.